What is up, guys? It is Stu. It is another episode of the What the Fuck Gym Talk podcast. And finally, I got you here, dude. This is fucking dope. I walked into your Greenville location. I was going back to a DM. It was 2 years ago. I walk in your Greenville, shoot the whatever. I shoot you guys a text like, hey, this place is incredible. And I was at some dive bar in Greenville, and you or somebody messaged me back and says, hey man, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you got to come to Charlotte. And back then you're like, coming.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking funny. And then I remember I follow you, and then I see the announcement. I'm like, oh, fucking for real. Let's go.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Seneca makes sense with the backstory, right? Yep. Like, and I want to tell me if I'm summarizing this right. My sister went to COC too.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
so my sister goes to COC. You go to college in Charleston.
Yep.
Post college, you fuck off. You go over to Europe, hang out for a little bit. You come back. Pops is a pilot. Mom's the entrepreneur. Pops needed a gym with better times and access because of his crazy fucking hours.
Yep.
They opened the gym, but you get there, it's kind of fludgy. It's not doing its thing. You step in, you correct the ship, right? At that point, at what point there were you like, okay, doing the gym is the thing? Because you fix it, like, cool, I did this, but like, at what point were you like, I'm gonna continue to do this?
Yeah, so it was, pretty much, spot on with that story. My mom's the entrepreneur, the go-getter. My dad's the meathead, but like, he gets the job done. My mom will start it, my dad finishes the type of deal, so they work really well together. Gold's Gym pissed him off one day. He was like, fuck you, I'm just gonna start my own gym. Literally, I remember I was like in church and we're drawing up like gym plans, and I was like, oh shit. And so they kind of like started the original gym in high school, and I'm a rebel, because my parents were doing it, I'm like, I'm not doing gym, I don't wanna work in it. I was an athlete, so I always worked out, but I'm like, I'm not doing the gym.
Sure.
Went to college, Charleston, exactly what you said. But I always was like, in college, I worked at a gym. I was always into fitness. I love the atmosphere of just like bringing people together. You can connect with people over experiences, different backgrounds, cultures, just over fitness. If you see someone in shape, they worked hard to get that. You don't just wake up with a six pack. So I like that aspect. And I came back from Europe and I was like, okay, I really want to start something on my own. I'm really good at like bringing people together, creating experience, and I love fitness. My parents were about to sell it. It took off, and then it became like a hobby, or the hobby took off to a business, plateaued, then started kind of like dying off. My mom was like, I'm done with this. I just wanted to have something to play with. My dad's still working out. And then I kind of came in and I was like, look, give me a year or two. Let me like work my way through it. I'll start janitor shit. And if nothing happens, cool. If in a year or two, if it's exactly the same, let's sell it. At least I got my hands wet.
Yeah.
And then I just treated it like a startup, man. And I went in and I was like, because I walked in after coming back and I was like, I wouldn't want to work out here. That was
Why? What was the problem?
It just felt like a basic, it just felt like, and credit to my parents, they killed it. Like they did exactly it. But like I said, they weren't just like, they started it and then they weren't like, having that energy into it. And then like I worked out and I was just like, I'm working out here because of my family, but I wouldn't like choose this gym. And that's kind of like the mindset. But it was
they built it for them. You thought of building it for someone else. Like you thought of like the kind of person that would come in there.
Exactly. And then I was like, okay, like I think I can make something cool with this. Like after you graduate college, there's a point where it's like hard to meet people. Like in college, you go to bars, doesn't matter. You meet people easy. When you graduate, it's like, okay, you meet people at your work or where you live, maybe at the pool. Other than that, where you go in the bars by yourself, it's hard. Unless you're a super outgoing guy or girl, it's a little bit difficult. So the gym's a place you go to by yourself, not weird, and you can just meet people. You can be around people, interactions or whatever. It can be super platonic. So I was like, okay, this is a place where it can be a hub of like bringing my friends together. Because I grew up around my dad working out, like the old school bodybuilding days where like, that was like the boys club. It was like him and all his homies. I remember I'd be, in the gym and just kind of like watching them, and it was just like the boys club. And I liked that like vibe, the Arnold days were like, that's like, it was like that, like, just a club. And so I liked that aspect. And I was like, okay, there's something to it of having those like bro talks and getting through breakups and like, just having that atmosphere that was lost. And it just became like everyone in their own headphones, everyone in their own shit.
What year is this?
So this was 2012.
Okay.
Or 2013. 2013 is kind of like when I started back into it. I graduated 2012 from college in Charleston. So yeah, maybe 2014. Anyways, around that time, probably 2014 is probably more accurate. That's when I kind of came in and started like rebranding it and working it. And I literally said I treated it like a startup. I was like, if I were to build a gym, how would I start doing stuff? And I just learned everything. My mom, I was sitting with her, you know, looking at the books. How do you do this? You know, I was having hard talks with people. I fired someone for the first time, you know, like having those weird talks.
Raising membership prices on people.
And I came in and everyone was like, oh, this asshole, just because his parents, you know, here, he's just gonna do it. And I had that chip on my shoulders, like, I'm gonna outwork you. I'm gonna prove through this that I can beat you by outworking you. And I'm not gonna come in and just like, you know, the son of the
boss's son.
Yeah, and just come in and sit back and sip coffee and just like whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna outwork everyone here. And that's essentially what I did. And, you know, just kind of.
So your parent, I gotta imagine when your parents were running the demographic, old in Seneca, if you're familiar with that demographic, it's a bit older. And then, I mean, there's a high school, you got some teenagers, but most people aren't like, can't wait to live in Seneca for the rest of my fucking life. So they're getting the fuck out. They're going to Clemson, they're going to school somewhere. How did, like, you look at this and I think of the demo in Seneca, and I'm like, that don't fit. So like but in every market, they are there. You just got to find them. How, as you started to change the vibe, you started playing hip hop instead of country and shit, people leave? Did people stay? Did just people left, but then a different group of people came? How did that work?
So this is a battle that I still battle with my mom today. Because my mom will still come into the Seneca gym.
Music and shit?
And the music, bro. That is the biggest battle. Because my mom is a saint and she likes to please everyone. And she loves her old people. Like, she loves them to death. Like, there's a line of people when she comes to the gym that want to talk to her. There'll literally be a line out front of the door to just talk to my mom. And, you know, the squeaky wheel always gets their way. So the old people are the people that complain. And so in Seneca, we had a big older demographic, and we had a high school demographic because, you know, there's 3 high schools in that area. We didn't have my age really demographic there. So that was a tricky part. So I'm like, okay, it was like, I think what they say, if you roast, I put a frog in boiling water, you know, if you start it, he'll
get out.
Yeah. So it was kind of like small increments of like, okay, let's like start during the busy times. Let's play a little bit of like clean music, hip hop. Let's try it a little bit there. Let's incrementally kind of do it. And they
slowly brainwash them. They either stay or they don't.
And then we had a lot of people cancel from it, you know, and that was the thing. And what I learned the biggest from that is in Seneca, we tried to do classes. We had a kids room. We tried to be the gym for everyone. You know, we threw a big blanket, and that was a biggest learning curve of never do that, because once we changed locations, and then another gym opened up and cut our prices, and then Planet Fitness opened up and cut our prices, and then everyone was like, well, they're cheaper, I'm just gonna go there. They're cheaper. And I was like, you can't build loyalty on price. And I was like, okay, we're cutting out all the bullshit, and we're just gonna be the best gym atmosphere out there. We're not gonna have classes, we're not gonna have kids room, because so we tried to do all that, and then we were just kind of like the regular gym. We weren't really good at anything. We were decent at everything. And another gym like Planet Fitness will come through, and $10 a month, they're kind of decent at all that too. So the people are like, well, I'll just go there for half the cost of you at the time. And there's a big eye opening, because I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to pivot one way or the other, and we're going to piss off a crowd. But if we want to be successful, we're going to have to do that. And there's going to be a time where it's going to be a little sketchy before we get the new crowd in and we piss off the older crowd, that we just have to kind of bank on it and, you know, roll with it. So.
And it's like, you go into any market, and even like, you know, a Planet Fitness comes in and people cancel and go to that. In every market, I don't care where, bumfuck nowhere, Ohio, there's still 20% of that population that have money. And people who have money don't like to be associated with the places. Like, they shop at West Elm, not Walmart, right? So just by price differential, you instantly stand up like, oh, everyone in town's going to a $10 a month gym? I don't even know what they're doing over there, but if it's more expensive, I'm just gonna go there from a status thing, right? Like, I drive a fucking Denali as a status thing. I wear the Lululemon, that kind of thing. Just be more expensive in and of itself in a market in which everything else is basement priced, you'll win by default, because there's always 20% higher earners at any fucking market than the most of it. Did you find you attracted the young kids first, or did you find you attracted, because young kids, like post-college young professional, not always a ton, they don't always have a ton of money, disposable kind of thing. And if you're living in Seneca, they post-college, maybe they didn't land the Charlotte, North Carolina job yet. Did you find that, was there a tug of war there in the pricing model of that? Like, what is it like in all your markets? Because is your price, how different is it in each market right now?
It's a pretty big jump. So Seneca, we're in there at like $30, $40 price point per month. Greenville's double that. So we're in that like 70-ish, and then
this is triple that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and this is the model I really want to go moving forward. Like this is like the price point, the size, the everything that we're, trying to replicate moving forward. But yeah, it was, a lot of our Seneca people is Clemson students. That was a big jump because Seneca is 15 minutes from Clemson. Doesn't seem like a lot, but our college kids, 15 minutes is...
That's light years away.
Yeah, literally light years away. And Clemson has a free on-campus gym called Fike. It's free for all of them. It's huge, it's massive. It has basketball courts, has swim pools, has all that. There's a gold gym half a mile from there, or it's changed now, but it used to be a Gold's gym. And then you have us 15, 20 minutes down the road. So it was a hard curve to get over there. But then we're like, I'm doing events there. We bought a big truck that like folds out. We're doing tailgating events. We were like, all right, we can't beat the proximity of them, but we can be cooler than them. Sure. We can have cooler people. We can have like the influencers. We started hiring like the cool college kids, started hiring them at my gym. And I'm like, well, they're going to work out here because it's free. Bring your friends over, let's like start bringing them. So then they're bringing the cool kids over, and then it kind of like started trickling down, but it wasn't overnight. And that's still a process, because with college you get 3 years of them.
Yeah, correct. And then they're gone. You can find the new who's the new cool kid?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, freshmen all kind of do Fike. That's like the freshman gym, and then it gets busy. So we get sophomore, junior, seniors. And then if we're lucky, they'll stay around and do a super senior year or something like that, or they'll go to Greenville, we'll get them in Greenville, or they'll go to Charlotte. So we can play that lifetime membership with them if they move to these markets, which a lot of them do.
Yeah.
Charlotte's a big demographic for Clemson post-grad. But in our Seneca gym, we got 3-4 years and then done. So it's a constant like, all right, who's the cool kids?
It's a farm league.
It is,
It's a farm league.
And it's just like, okay, so it's a weird model because, summers are hit or miss because, are the kids this year going to stay in Seneca or Clemson, or are they going to go back home? Mm-hmm. And then, for Christmas break,
gone. Goes down.
Yep, 100% gone. Yep. So it's a different demographic of how we play with, our memberships and and the kids there.
Yeah.
So.
And every market's got that cyclical, even Charlotte, like, I don't know how, like, I remember my first year here owning a gym, it was like, and I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, right? So I come down here, I'm staying here for Christmas. Why? Because there's no cold white shit. Why would I go back to Cleveland then? But November, December, January, fucking ghost town in Charlotte for the most part. But then it's always St. Patty's Day. It's that fucking Rich and Bennett's bar crawl. That's the first weekend where people generally tank top and shorts back on, and everyone's like, oh, fuck me. I'm going to be at Lake Norman here in 60 days. And that was like, always I saw the New Year's, like where everyone has a New Year's resolution up in the Northeast. Yep. Well, yeah, because you've been inside since October, right? But here, like in the South, this huge pop, I always saw in March.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, that's my market. That's like the, it takes a couple of years, but you start learning those cyclical natures. But you write it down, you remember it, and then you can plan for it when the drop-off's going to happen in Seneca, when the kids go, go back home for the summer, things like that.
Exactly.
How many years run in Seneca before you greenlight Greenville?
So Greenville was 2018. So I guess we'll say 3 years, 3 solid years. I started when I took over or started in it, we were in a smaller location. And then, the first 2 years, essentially, it was like I said, it was a startup. We were going for like 50%. It was like massive growth. I put turf in there, I'm switching up shit. Like, let's change up the entire gym demographic. Let's do a little bit of art, nothing crazy, but just, let's just paint stuff. And then we're like, all right, we outgrow this. And then a space became available, which actually is funny. It's the Gold's Gym that pissed off my dad that closed down. And my dad were like, let's buy that place. And it's kind of funny, almost just like the final fuck you. The final fuck you. So then we with that, and it was like a shell of a building. And then, so we did that, I think 2015 is when we got into there. Okay. And then that was like, okay.
You guys owned that building in Seneca?
Yep, owned that one. Yep. And then, so when we opened up that one, it was, all right, let's really focus on the art. Let's really change up how it looks and it feels. And once that started going well, I was like, all right, I have an idea to kind of make it really crazy. Like I said, where the music is exactly how I want it. Where, we still had the base membership of like the old people. So I'm still like in the morning time, still turning the music down a little bit, especially when my mom's there and stuff. So I'm still like playing with it, and I still have a little bit of a tug of war. And I was like, Greenville is going to be like my baby, where it's like, you have to be 18 and up to step foot in the gym. Yeah. I don't want to have any high school kids. If you're 17, sorry, next year come see us. It's going to be loud music. So you're either cool with it, get noise canceling headphones, or we're not the gym for you. And I was like, we're going to play that market. And we're going to triple the cost or double the cost. And we're going to be a premier gym, a destination gym, and it's going to be cool. And I was like, Greenville makes sense. It's 45 minutes away. It's like a test market. You know, it's not a crazy city where I get lost, but it's a big enough city where they have things going on there. It's way bigger than Clemson, Seneca area, and it feels like a city. You know, so I was like, all right, if I can make something successful, pretty much me, my family's still involved, but I want to be there, get my hands dirty every day. I want to build it up myself, and I want to see if this concept works. And it was a little scary at first. We were the highest priced gym at that point. CrossFits and all the class-based gyms are still double the cost, but gym-wise, we were double the price of any just strictly gym out there. So, people were like $75 a month. What? That's unheard of, especially, 5 years ago in a place that most gyms are $40 a month. So, so that was all right, let's see if this concept can work.
It's interesting. You brought up the open gym model at the time when that was on a decline, right? You go back to Venice Beach, Arnold. That was the blow up of the Gold Gym. People were not in gyms doing bicep curls and back squatting and calf raises until that happened. Yeah. And then we had this huge open gym rush. And then 2000, CrossFit helped kicked it off, Orange Theory. And then we've been riding that boutique, group fitness wave forever. Yeah. I mean, you Google group fitness in Charlotte, boom.
Yeah.
You look at the open gym models in Charlotte. Gold's Gym in Uptown, closed. Sports Connection, all 3 locations within 3 miles here have been closed. It's you guys, Fitness Factory, the Dowd YMCA and all the YMCA subsidiaries. And fucking shitty ass High Fitness.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like people forgot about that model. Why do you think, now obviously you saw it early, but I look at what Gymshark's done. I look at what Alpha Land's done. That open gym model is coming back strong. You believed in it early. Have you seen that have you seen the demise of the group fitness thing come down and be like, oh fuck, that shit, I remember they were fucking at that CrossFit gym forever and now they're here. Have you noticed that transition?
Yeah, so big time, especially with the female population.
Yes.
So that's been a huge thing. Instagram's blown up get that booty, and I love fitness in general. So it's if a group class is gonna get you in fitness, more power to you, do it. If CrossFit's your shit, if I was going to SWAT, I would be CrossFit. If I was that, Army, whatever, I'd do CrossFit. And I've tried them all, and to each his own. But I think there's a point where it's some of those are beginner gyms, or you're just trying to get into fitness or get back into it. You're I need just to walk into a door, know I'm gonna sweat, know I'm gonna get a decent workout. But then there comes a point where I really want a bigger booty, or I really want shoulders, and I'm getting a body of what that group class is defined as that. A lot of times it's a generic box looking bodies for sort of CrossFit, you get big obliques or whatever. And then, I think Instagram became a big thing of you're seeing it's the booty builders. And they're well, I want that, how do I get that? You come to a gym, you start figuring out how do you work out yourself. And so that was a big thing of girls not wanting to look bulky to girls seeing that you can not look bulky by actually hitting the weights. And so in the past, I would say almost COVID kind of shot that back into the game of getting into a gym and doing it, and kind of getting back into a true open gym market. But it's expensive to open a gym like this. You have to have a ton of square footage. The overhead's crazy. I think the boutique model has blown up because, a couple guys can get 50, 100 grand.
2,000 square feet.
Yep. And you can open it up in 6 months without a ton of equipment, a couple good trainers, you and your boys, and now you
control where the humans are. You know where they're gonna be in that group class. Here, to figure out the operational capacity of an open gym model, you don't know where the fuck people are traveling. And when you try to think about how many people you fit in here versus an Orange Theory class, I know exactly how many fucking people are gonna be there per hour, per class. You said something there. I think COVID was a huge element that pushed the open gym. The thing I always think about though, why didn't people go into a Gold Gym previously, women maybe especially, and bicep curl and squat? They didn't know. Why didn't a lot of guys go into those gyms? They felt intimidated. Every other dude who knew, bigger, it's an intimidating faction. Group fitness happened, and the one thing group fitness offered, I'm a coach, I'm gonna tell you how to do this. Yeah. Well, group fitness runs for 10 to 15 years. It's kind of like beer. Remember when there was just Bud Light in college and Natty Light? And now you pay $8 for a fucking hazy IPA with extra, Peruvian hops. And you're oh, that's what happens when someone does enough of something, you can get snobby about it. You drink enough coffee, You can get particular about it.
Yep.
You do group fitness for 10 years, you are an educated fucking consumer. You probably know how to swing, kettlebell, deadlift, press, pull, hinge, single leg lunge, whatever. It's someday you're like, oh, I don't need your recipe and your coaching anymore. I do want that ass.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. I don't want to do your 150 wall balls and run 600 meters. I want to go squat 5x3 in the squat rack.
Yeah.
And then they leave. And it's like almost like that group fitness model educates them out of the class to where like, I came here when I needed the education, the motivation, all that. I look good. I'm motivated because I don't want to lose this shit.
Yeah.
But I just want to do my own fucking thing. And COVID released a gazillion online programmers.
Yeah.
A gazillion programs you can follow. Marcus Philly, this, that, the other thing. It don't matter. You can just come in here and do your own fucking thing. After how many years from Greenville to CLT?
So it was 4 years. Well, before we opened CLT or before like we started
just think about like, okay, so how many years did you establish Greenville before you're like, all right, now let's legit start looking at Charlotte?
So we legit started looking pre-COVID. Like right at like probably early 2020, right?
Okay.
When like COVID was like, kind of heard about it. I started looking at the market and I was like, okay, cool. That was our 2.5, 3 years about Greenville.
Yep.
We started making good money. I'm like, okay, we're seeing this. I want to be in a bigger market. And then COVID happened and we're like, all right, what the fuck? And now I got to focus on my gyms to make sure that they can just stay open. Like it's emergency mode, like not expansion mode. It's like, I need to keep my shit together at this point. Like, we're doing underground. It was a speakeasy gym. I literally had an elevator and I was, people, I had a text number. You're texting me and coming down and, I had cops doing that shit. And I'm like, don't bust me and I'll let you come work out.
Yeah.
So, it's 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. And then that happened and that put a delay about a year and a half on like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? Charlotte was closed way more or longer than South Carolina was, by 6 months, or probably a year. And then probably I'd say so that delayed it a year. And then after that, 22 or 20, early or late 21 started like, all right, let's start revisiting. Shit started opening. Let's really kind of get in it. 2022 came around, and that's when I was like talking to a bunch of real estate people, finding, the best spots, really, staying up here on the weekends, figuring out where people go, checking out the gyms, really doing my market research. And then, that was, negotiations started happening end of 2022. And then found this, and then, a year build out and all that. So
let's talk about that build out. So how long did your real estate, from the day you probably signed with your broker to the day you signed a lease, how long did the search take?
So we videoed some of this too. I mean, he was there with me and it was probably 6 months before I found this building, signed the LOI, and then there's probably 6 months of negotiation to get this going. I thought once I signed the LOI, I was like, oh, in a month we can start this shit. We're good. I learned a lot on that. It's a capital group that owns it. They're in DC. I'm speaking to a talking head that he has to get shit approved. So every change I did was a 2-week process. I'm like, all right, let's change this in the
email,
contract.
2 weeks.
Yep. And then they're doing it. And then I'm like, yo, where the fuck you guys at? Where they at? And then one change. And then I'm talking to my lawyer. He's like, all right, you need to change this. And I'm like, anything else we need to change? And then, so learned a lot, The
red lines never end.
Yeah, so that, and it was back and forth. And then literally it became to a point where like, are we gonna fucking do this? And then I was like, look, all hands on deck meeting, get everyone that is the decision makers. We're making a deal today. We gotta fucking figure this out, because if not, this is a waste of time. And because they were being very stubborn on some shit, and at the time, and still now, the landlords have a lot of control. I said, people want to get in buildings, so they're like, nah, we'll wait.
Yeah.
And, and I had that. I had an LOI signed, which I'm glad, things worked out. And we were, about to sign the lease, and the guy's wife was like, I don't want a gym here, and pulled out the last minute, being like, sorry, we don't want a gym here. We want to do something cooler. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I showed you the concept. It's going to be cool. We're going to drive traffic. And last minute, just like, nah, we'll wait. That place is still empty, by the way.
Where was that?
It's West Bland, 201 West Bland. So it's right beside the McLaren dealership. Or that little McLaren spot.
Yep.
It's literally right to the side of it, and they redid it as a long kind of warehouse.
Yeah, I know it. Not shotgun style, no parking.
No parking.
No parking.
So, they had a little bit on the side.
Yeah.
But
this worked out way better.
Way better. Way better. I liked that at the time. I thought that was a better area. I was like, that's more in South End.
Yeah, more in the main drag.
I was like, this is kind of all thin cut.
To me, this is where you go when you run out of crack. Yeah.
I was like, section, 5 house or whatever is right across the street. I was like, I don't know about this.
But you blink. And what's there now?
Exactly. So, props to my real estate guy. He really was like, bro, he was like, trust me on this. This is what's happening. Show me kind of like, in 6 months, they're going to start this. In 2 years, this is what's going to happen. They're going to be pushing this out. 5 years is what's going to be happening. You're going to be in the prime location in 5 to 6 years. This is going to be the spot. So I had to trust him. That was a leap of faith. I showed the first time my dad came here, he's like, I think I'm lost. I'm in the He was like, what did you sign? He was pissed. He was like, you're not in the right spot. And I was like, you got to trust me on this, And so seeing that was unique. But yeah, so back to your question, it was probably about, overall from start to finish, it was, I guess, 4.5 years from when I opened Greenville to when we opened Charlotte. Okay. Say 5 years, I think, right at it, so.
Now, when you were doing this, you didn't live here. Nope. You were taking field trips, coming on up here.
Yep.
So what does that look like? So, you go into a market, you're like, okay, and it's like, I'm gonna go there for the weekend. I'm gonna try not to just be drunk and go party on it. Like, I'm gonna actually try to get into other gyms and talk to people. I mean, you probably knew some people here you could talk to, but talk to me about what that R&D looked like when you were here.
Yeah, so I didn't know a ton of people, but luckily Greenville and Charlotte, people come to Charlotte when they want to go to a bigger city. It's an easy drive. It's nothing crazy. So I, had a little bit of connections and started just talking to people and like, hey, go to a gym. I knew a couple people in the gym and I'm like, hey, why do you work out here?
Sure.
And people would be like, I don't know, because it's the only thing here or the closest thing here. And then I'm like, you're at the Dow? You're at the Y? I've never been to a city where the Y is the most popular gym. And I'm like, what? And then, it's a nicer Y. I get that, but it's still a Y at the end of the day.
Overcrowded.
Yeah. So, and then I literally just started kind of going through Instagram of where's the attractive people working out? Anything that has fitness hashtag, anything that has Charlotte hashtag. And I was just doing hours of almost creeping of where are these people working out? What are they doing? What are they doing?
Did you walk in the Fitness Factory?
Yeah, I did. I worked out at Fitness Factory.
And when you were there, you're like, get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, and it was like that where I'm like, what's going on? How is this, a part in Charlotte?
The largest, biggest privately owned open gym model in Charlotte is Eileen's Fitness Factory. That just shows you how the supply and demand has been in her favor. And listen, I love Eileen. She's cool as fuck. One of the first gyms I joined when I moved here in 2009.
Yeah.
But it's fucking over. You cannot have your dog taking a shit on the fucking turf anymore, right? I love dogs. When I heard that fucking dog died on Instagram, I was like, fucking, this dog would drop, dude. This dog would take the biggest shits in the middle of that turf. It would be there 10 fucking minutes before anyone ever acknowledged the goddamn. I swear to Christ. And I love everyone in the Charlotte fitness community. You get away with not having to step up your game when there's no competition. Yeah. And that was one of the things when you heard you were coming, at the least, people are gonna have to fucking stand up straight and realize they can't get away with being the only fucking game in town.
Competition breeds innovation.
Absolutely.
And, I love it. That's why I wanted to come here. It was there's not crazy competition, but it's in a big city. I know there's gonna be another gym that comes in the next year or two that tries to take this model and do it, And it's funny you said it because I guess Fitness Factory expanded.
They just opened the next store. Yeah.
That's not all right, obviously.
Nothing new or different. Just grabbed some equipment from the first building, moved it over to the second building. It blows my mind. But with all that being said, let's break down some numbers because a lot of people are trying to do new real estate shit. How many square feet we got?
11,071.
11,071. How much is training for the floor, gym training on the floor?
Gym training on the floor is about 9,500 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of wasted space, to be honest. We have this, the front area, and then small locker rooms. So,
is this a nod to Alpha Land? Where did you get the inspiration for this?
So I have something like this in Greenville. So it just goes down the stairs.
Yeah, with the shoes hanging?
Yep, the shoes hanging, and we have these on the side going down the stairs. And I'm into cars, I love exotic cars, and I saw this this is meant for cars. So you pull cars in, it's like a detail thing. I was like, damn, that kind of looks badass. And I was like, I love creating an entrance, you're, the first impression's the lasting one, and I believe in that. And I want people to walk in and be like, what the fuck? Like, why? You know, like why? But it's cool. I don't know why. And I got that, a lot of the inspiration from going to nightclubs, really cool nightclubs in like Vegas. You walk in and you're kind of going through a maze that like tells you a story about what you're about to open up. And then you open up and you're like, holy shit. Like the first time you go to like a sick club in Miami or something, if they do it right, it tells you a story going through the entrance, and it's mirrors and it's this and this, and you're excited. Almost like a theme park ride. You're like, what's about to happen? And you open it up and you're like, oh shit, this is cool. I wanted that experience where you walk in and I was like, how can we do that? You know, I did it with the basement. Like, all right, you kind of go down the basement jungle with the lights. It kind of is like vibe. You don't know what it is. And then you walk into this and I was like, all right, how can we do it with this? And kind of came across these. And, you know, I've never been to Alphaland. I've seen kind of it, but this was nothing.
It is definitely different. It's just, it's similar. And Alphaland's probably the only other thing. Again, it's on a 30,000 square foot scale, but it's like, the desire to bring aesthetics to the forefront, right? Like that's the effort I see the private open gym models doing, right? And some of the Lifetimes and the Crunches, they're trying to go that route. They're just too big to make it happen, and they appeal to too many people. You're able to appeal to a very specific person when you go hard on the aesthetics, right? Because it just leans one way. It's like cool to this kind of demographic, or it, you know, if you have pictures of Barry Manilow and shit, my mom would fucking work out here, right? You just got to like, you pick your angle.
And it's hard because you're like, how much money are we spending? You know, like my dad's like a hard numbers guy. Like my dad's, he's a pilot. He structures shit. You know, I give my dad the parent price on things, you know, and then like, this is what it really costs, and I'll tell him about 50% less. But you know, I'm telling him this and he's like, why the fuck you spend that much money on Marvel? Like, what are you doing? You know, he's become now a little bit more lenient after he sees the finished product, but it's hard because like this doesn't bring in revenue off the front.
It's
like
zero.
Yeah, like you see there like, what? Like, you know, why? Like it's not gym equipment. People are walking on it. So it's hard at first because you're like, okay, it better be worth it. You have to, like, if we're putting this into it, it has to be somewhere worth it. They're taking pictures. That's why I put a big ass mirror. I was like, I want a place where when you walk in, it's almost impossible not to take a photo. Where it's like, all right, I gotta take, I know everyone's doing it, I gotta take that photo, you know? And so that was like, he was like, all right, what's that price point look like? How much are we gonna spend on it? Because it's not essentially generating revenue from like what you think in a standard gym, you know?
It's creating, it's consumer generating content. It's creating marketing. It's the purple cow. It's the thing that if you haven't seen it before, it makes them stop and think, this is unique. I want to be unique. I will be here. It's like when Lululemon popped because nobody was paying $165 for a pair of fucking black leggings. That was unheard of. No one did it. And then every bitch kept that fucking tote because they just showed off like I can afford leggings and I shop at Lululemon.
It became a status symbol.
Yeah, it became a status symbol. And I mean, you see that, you know, I tell people like, someone's like, how many stories should my gym have? I'm like, as many, if not more, than Core24 has on theirs that they reshare. Like that's every day. That is like the equivalent of the 5 stars on a Google review. How many fucking little hashes do you have of resharing someone else's shit? And if no one is going in and out of your gym and taking a photo or taking a selfie or doing whatever, they could love it. But if they're not showing it off, it's just because there's nothing to show. You know? And this is a fucking spectacle. Where'd you get the fucking Arnold? Where did that Arnold come from?
They came from overseas. So that was like, that was when I still even told my parents the price on that, and the one up front, it was kind of one of those things where I was going down a rabbit hole of shit, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna have this entrance. Like, what do I want people to like take pictures in front of? Like, I want something iconic. Like, what can just be really cool, but like, that will be a staple that we don't have to keep changing. Because I change up the art like every year. The art changes. That's why I don't have tattoos, because I would keep changing it up and I would just be fully tatted. And I'm like, all right, what's just like a proper like nod to working out and to like my dad's generation, but still relevant to kids this day. And I was like, oh, Arnold, like, all right, what can I do with Arnold? Like, what let's do it. And I started doing research and just like came across a company that does sculptures, and I'm like sending them stuff. And you know, originally it's this company that does like outside, they do like the copper, like steel stuff. And I was like, can we make it gold? Can we make it shiny?
Can make it look like a trophy.
I was like, I want it to look shiny as shit. And you know, it's the similar one to the one in front of the Arnold Classic out, you know, Ohio.
Columbus,
So, and you know, I saw that and I was like, all right, let's do that. So that was kind of just off on a whim, and it came in 2 days before we opened. I ordered it like 8 months before, bro. It was like one of the first things I bought. You know, just doing research, and it just took forever. I had to go through customs.
You were waiting to open that crate, and his fucking head snapped off or something. Shipping.
I was like
be broken
2 days before, and I'm like, bro, I really want this to be opening. I know people are gonna take photos, and I'm like, please let it be open. And then, you know, comes in a crate, and I'm like, I was so scared to open it. It was 5 boxes, and luckily nothing was broke on it, because I was thinking that I was like the arm's gonna be broke.
Absolutely.
You know,
some fucking forklift dropped it on a shipping container.
Yep.
All right, so what did you get? What was your base lease rate, and then what did they hit you with triple net?
So we got $26 a square foot, and then everything with triple net is right at 34 with the shared space, all the common stuff. So everything that we're paying is right at 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were able to negotiate some free rent in there?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
So we got a year and a half of free rent.
Year and a half?
Technically a little bit longer, because they were building this out when I signed it. So I kind of like started our build out when they were finishing their build out. So I was able to kind of like...
You had lease commencement the day you signed the lease, and then rent commencement wasn't until you got your certificate of occupancy.
I almost fucked myself in that, because my attorney was like, don't do that, wait till they're done, because if that stretches out.
Yeah. And
I was like, no, I want to get in there early. So I almost screwed myself on that. I learned a little bit from that, but I was able to get a couple extra months out of there. But so I was able to get that, got some good TI money. We got $500,000 TI.
Was that like 60 a square foot?
Yeah, right at that. Yep. So we were able to get that, which that went really quickly. That money went faster than I thought. I was like, all right, we probably can get away with, having this and this, but, cost on steel's up, cost on labor's up since COVID, HVAC, everything, and this was a cold, dark shell. So we're doing mechanical, plumbing, electrical, everything.
Yeah. Everyone that doesn't know, like, you get it. This is a first generation space. This was a shit warehouse. Big money came in, developers redid the whole thing. They leave it wide open because they don't know who the first tenant is, right? They're not going to do anything on spec. They're going to wait for you to come in, and you look at it, you're like, okay, cool. So how are you going to be delivering it to me? Like, this is how I'm going to be delivering it to you. We'll give you a bunch of money, but essentially it's just to put the shit that we would need to put in here anyway. The HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical panel, all that.
Yep.
Bring it up ADA at all the fucking things. And everyone is going to hear $500,000. You're like, oh, that would cover most of that equipment. It covers just the capital improvements to this building for the most part. There might have been some left over, probably not a lot, if anything.
No, there was nothing at all. We out of pocket for $250,000 plus on that.
So that's what I want to hit now. So okay, they give $500,000 in TI there, and then what did you have to cover in addition on the construction?
So 2 things. So I actually had a construction agent. So it's kind of weird. So when we were doing this, I was actually filming a TV show in Colorado. So I'm on the call in the morning trying to negotiate prices, and I'm like sending people here, sending MJ, my photographer, and be like, yo, talk to this guy, like check out the space, make sure like shit's happening.
So all the Bravo shows going on, you're dealing with all that.
And I can't really talk during the day because we're filming. So I'm like early morning, and we're 2 hours is in Colorado, so 2 hours back. So I'm, it's like 7 a.m. over there, and I'm making calls, hungover as shit, trying to we're in the mountains, so I have no service. I'm trying to get Wi-Fi on my computer. It was a fucking spectacle, to be honest with you. So we signed with this company called Clancy & Days. I kind of got pushed into it. We have with the group that that owns this, in the lease, they were like, we're putting a construction management company in. They're going to pay for it, but it's kind of like a big brother to make sure we're doing shit right.
Yeah.
I learned that after the fact that they're on their side and not really helping me out.
Yeah.
But so they were like, I'm new to there, so I'm taking their kind of advice on like, all right, do this company. They'll get it done the fastest, blah, blah, blah. So I checked out 3 companies. Ended up getting this. It was 1.1 or 1.2 million. I thought that was high for what we wanted. I was like, that seems high, but they can get it done the fastest. So if they can get it done 6 months faster than the other, $30,000 a month of what we're paying in rent, times 6. All right, we can make that work. So I signed with them originally. So about a month into kind of working with them, before they really started doing shit, the owner and I were butting heads on some shit. And he drew a line in the sand on something that essentially, he didn't think that I would say, fuck you. I didn't realize how Clancy & Days, they're building across the street. I had to deal with all their employees. They're literally 2 doors down from us. That's their main place. With all their employees, we're gonna work out here on a discounted rate. They were gonna pay us that. And he drew the line in the sand, and I was like, I don't wanna work with someone who's doing this, and fuck you. And my guy was like, you're gonna lose 2 months trying to get a new GC, trying to build it out. And it was a tough decision. It was the toughest decision I made, again, because I'm like, okay, one, if I say fuck you and I can't find anyone cheaper, I'm losing 2 months and I got to do all this shit over. Like, this could be a big fucking mistake.
Was it worth it?
Yes.
Okay.
got someone that was 700,000.
There you go.
So, which I was expecting the true cost to be.
Sure.
I was hoping for $500,000. I was hoping that TI could cover the build out. I was like, that would be fucking awesome. No out of pocket, a little bit of, if anything. Actually, it wasn't even 700, it was like 675. So found a company that was a little bit smaller company, but it's not a crazy build out. Electrical's probably the hardest.
Yep.
We're not doing, a lot of walls. It's not a lot of cubicle shit.
You didn't put showers and nothing basic, nothing advanced.
So I was like, I want to do kind of basic, and then the interior design is kind of where I, stand out. So found it. They got it done on time. Clancy and Thays is going across the street. They're 8 months behind on this project. The people that Colony is who the people that are my oversight. They're pissed. Their shit's in my back.
I've seen it back there, yeah.
So I'm, trying to get extra rent because of that. So I'm like, I'm working another deal because that, and they're 8 months behind. It's causing a headache with everything. So they would have been, we probably wouldn't even be open right now. Honestly, I've been, $500,000 out of pocket higher plus a couple months behind. So the biggest risk, but it paid off. It paid off so much. And the guys were smaller, smaller group of people, some good old boys, but I'm hands-on. So when we started the build out, I was back from filming. I was hands-on. I was here every day.
I watched all the videos, man. I watched it.
So, and a lot of times they're like, when we were figuring out what they were going to do, and I'm like, owner doing, and he's like, what do you mean? You're going to paint the ceilings? I'm like, yeah, I got a scissor lift. I'm going to paint it. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, take that off. It's $50,000 to paint the ceiling. Take that off. Another $30,000, $40,000 to paint the walls. Take that off. I got it, bro. So I'm cutting shit. I'm lean as fuck. I can't do plumbing. I'm not certified. I'm not certified at electrical.
Yeah.
I know enough to be dangerous where I can play around with it, but the big things, obviously. Anything else, I got it. Me and my dad.
I was gonna say, when I saw all the stuff with your dad, I'm like, that's either just like, it's because you want to have that emotional relationship with the business. I was in there, I did the thing, I built the thing, whatever, with him and his pops. Or it's just it's just economics. It's just one of the two. No one enjoys you were in here in July. You were in here in the heat of the fucking summer.
Before any HVAC, before anything, sweating. Me and my dad almost had a heat stroke because we were laying flooring down and we had 1-2 fans because we were trying to run wires out to try to get some type of power in here. And it was bad. The videos don't show what we were almost passing out at points where it was it was hot, hot. But a lot of it's economics. It's me and my dad get a bond. You get, it's dad, father stuff. You get to look back and be yeah, we built this with our hands. And again, I have that chip on my shoulder where I'm I'm gonna prove to everyone, to myself, I built this shit. There's no like I said, I'm on TV, so I get half of my life that's you don't have to do shit. You're a party fuck boy. And I'm like, nah, guys, I'll outwork you. I have that mentality. It's I don't have a wife and kids, so I have an advantage over a lot of business owners that have to spend time with their family I don't. I can work 20 hours a day here and sleep here and do it the next day and do it the next day and the next and the next and the next. You can't do that. You can do it a little bit, but the wife's gonna be calling you in a minute. You gotta spend birthday with your daughter. Mm-hmm. I don't. I'm good. So that's my advantage. I might not have as much money as you, but I can outwork you in a lot of sense. Some of it, me and my dad were the next gym, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things flooring. Nah, we don't wanna do flooring anymore.
Yeah.
But some of it painting the walls, I had paint sprayers. That's not that. It's 2 days of work for me to save $50,000. Yes, done. Or I'll hire some people myself. We had a couple guys that, were friends of friends that it's not hard. It's
you could go down to Home Depot, grab 6 Mexican guys, pay them $1,000 on the day.
Yes.
And they that's how I did that's how we did most of the build out at my gym.
Yep.
Literally going to Home Depot, giving them Subway during the day, in the middle of the day, and fucking throwing $1,000 at them.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's trying to stay as lean as possible. Even if we have that money, it's okay, that $50,000 can pay for this.
Yeah.
Can pay for Arnold. It's the fun thing. So it's I try to nickel and dime and save as much on big things so that I have that.
On the stuff that no one's gonna notice. No one's ever walking in there God, that's a dope paint job on the ceiling.
Exactly.
No one's ever said that shit.
Literally never. But then you see the Arnold.
That's
just
fuck yeah.
Yeah. So it's I do that, and then where we're sitting down looking at P&Ls with my parents. I'm all right. I'm spending this money because, I saved $100K here. So I'm just putting it into something else that actually is going to be more fun and, have an experience aspect to it. So
how much in equipment?
So equipment, it's funny. We went to a completely different manufacturer. I have a good relationship with Core and Life Fitness. Well, I did have one with Life Fitness and Hammer Strength. They kind of, bad relationship after COVID, they were just not working with me and playing ball, and prices went skyrocket. And I'm like, dude, I bought from you 4 years ago and you're trying to fuck me? Like, come on, like work with me, you know? I've built, you know, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from you, and now you're trying to do this. So, which is a blessing in disguise. It made me look at Arsenal, it made me look at Atlantis, and I was like, went to the manufacturers, I worked out, I know the VP, and I was like, damn, this is actually good equipment. I like this.
Arsenal's incredible.
A lot of gyms don't have this.
Yeah.
All right, this gives me a little bit of, you know, a cool aspect that I wouldn't have had. At my other gym, we have a lot of hammer strength. I'm gonna start putting Arsenal in there. Back to your point, about $500,000 in equipment.
Okay.
You know, I bought a lot of stuff probably 2 years ago, you know, like the dumbbells, you know, I saw like Eleiko was doing a Black Friday deal like 2 years ago, and I got a crazy good deal. So I was like, fuck it, buy them all. They were sitting at my parents' house for a year and a half just because, you know, I didn't have a place for them. But so if I, you know, I'm always looking at equipment, and if I happen to find something, I'm like, all right, we'll put it in storage.
I'll need it eventually.
Yeah, I was like, well, I know we're building this out, so let's do it here. But yeah, probably overall right around that $500,000 mark.
So $500,000 on equipment. You got the build out for 700.
Yep.
And then they gave you close to 500 in TI on that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's still it's everyone underestimates the build out. Everyone underestimates the equipment, the flooring, the fucking everything, and it just you can do things on the cheap.
Yeah.
It's just gonna look like you did things on the cheap, and nobody walks in here and thinks, "Oh, this was cheap."
Yeah.
Yeah. This didn't cost anything.
And that's what I had to learn is like, me and my dad have put flooring down before. I'm not putting this down. You know what I'm saying? Because I've done it, and like in my condo in Greenville, me and my dad put some like marble flooring down. It looks good for my room. You know, I had to put a couch in one spot, you know, it's messed up. But I was like, we're paying to get this done. The ceiling, we can paint. You're not gonna see this. But the stuff that people are gonna see and notice is like, all right, we're gonna pay, make sure that looks good, where you walk in, you're like, all right, they spent money on this.
100%. So let's talk so okay, you get open, and then it's like, okay, our burn rate, we're running through cash.
Yep.
And how did you guys finance this?
So self-funded and then bank loans.
Got it.
Yep. So that was, you know, we have a good relationship with our bank. We've been with them over 10 years. They've seen our track record with our other gyms.
South State, who you use?
South State, Community First.
Yep.
Those are two. Community First, a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
We've been around with them for a while, but you know, they'll give us enough.
More relationship based.
Yep. South State's a little bit bigger.
Yep.
They gave us the majority of the funding. But like I said, we have 10 years of both gyms doing well, especially Greenville really kind of like taking it off. So we're able to get, you know, money from them. And then, self-funded for the rest.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk pre-sale. So I'm always interested in people's strategies on pre-sale. You ran with the tiered model. Hey, X amount. Boom, when we sell it out, we're selling out. Then you go to the next, each tier gets a little bit more expensive. Is that a strategy you've ran in Greenville? Like, where did you, talk to me about the strategy for the pre-sale?
Yep, so completely new strategy. I kind of got it from, you know, I like to party. I like to go to music festivals. And music festivals do like an early bird special.
Sure.
So it's like 6 months before the festival is even thought about, you can get it for $100, you know, and there's only like X amount. And then when I want to go to the festival, it's $500. I'm like, shit, man, that early bird special, if I would have known, I should have got that. And you have like 3 or 4 different tiers. So I kind of got it from that. And at the Greenville one, that was my first like true like opening and pre-sale. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, all right, let's just kind of pre-sale and have a discounted rate. Whatever, you're like, let's figure it out. It went okay. You know, that was really before the brand started taking off. So here, I was like, I want to do it where there's only X amount. And people know I'm going to tell you exactly how many we have available. So it's not like, oh, limited number. Like, no, you're going to see, we only have 100 of this available, 150 of this, and 200 of this. And create that supply and demand. Like, really create it. Like, all right, if you get in on this, fucking awesome. That's going to be your rate forever. This is going to be this, you know? So, you know, tier 1 sold out in like 45 seconds.
I was at the bar. I had to set an alarm for 4 o'clock that day because I got the email. I was like, oh, fuck. And like, boom, 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 got it. And I was like, I never thought I was going to sneak in and get that first tier. And I was like, fuck. Like, and then I just hit refresh just for shits and gigs, gone.
Yeah. It actually, so it's funny. So I think we only had like, I think I picked the number like 70. I don't know. It was like right around 100 available for pre-sale. 200 people got in on it because so it was a brand new system I'm using now for our like
ABC.
Yeah, I'm using ABC. I like them. Well, hopefully, you know, I've had bad experiences with. I know ABC for a while with Gold's Gyms and shit.
Yeah.
I've used 3 different gym members. I have Gym Insight for my Seneca one.
Okay.
Glow Fox for Greenville.
Yeah.
And I want to stop learning new systems.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, all right,
they all suck at some degree. It's just which one can you put up with?
Exactly.
That's it.
And Glowfox is good if I had classes. It's class-based, it's awesome for that, but I'm like, I don't really use that. They're mobile friendly. I like the user interface. It's a cool design, but I'm like, I want to have something that can grow with me. Found ABC. Anyways, so I'm learning. I signed with ABC a week and a half before I did pre-sale. I'm learning shit. I'm like, I hope this is going to be available.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got the email where I
did.
Push it back.
Yeah.
That's because they were like, it's not going to be ready. And I'm like, guys, what? Like, what?
They're like, set up an onboarding takes weeks. Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, we can do this in like a weekend, right?
Push a button, right?
Yeah, I was like, come on. And they're like, no, we filled out everything. And I'm like, fuck, guys. So I'm like, bro, I'm like calling someone. I'm like, who do I need to send a bottle of whiskey to? Shout out to them for getting it done as quickly as they did. Because they were like, we're not going to be ready till January. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, all right, guys, well, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. Like, pre-sales have to happen in December. And early
before December. You're opening up mid-December.
Yeah, I'm trying to open up there. Like, I'm open in the gym before January, whether I have you guys or not. Like, that's period. So that was like a little bit of a learning curve. But when pre-sale happened with the system, if you're in the queue, so if you were on the website and you click the membership without buying it, you're in a queue. Mm-hmm. And so we had about 200 people that click it in the queue. And when I shut them off, it was like, okay, shut off, but you have X amount there in a queue that if they sign up, they're getting that price. So I shut it off immediately because I saw it, I refreshed and it was like, this X, and so I shut it off, but then, people
still got through.
People still got through. So I was like, shit. I mean, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people got, a good price that would have had to been like tier 2. But yeah, that was a learning curve on that as well.
How much? What was the end? What did you end up doing in pre-sale?
The numbers wise?
Yeah. Like how many?
So we had right at like 300, I think. 300 people pre-sale total.
300 pre-sale. And your tiers went, was that first? It was like sub $100 for the first tier.
Yeah, it was 89, and then it went 99, and then 109.
109, got it. And then what's your, like, when you think about that in a Charlotte market, like even at 109, you're still vastly underpricing, what this is. Yeah. And the fact that there really is no competition. In the open gym market, you can name a handful on one hand probably, but nothing of this caliber. Yeah. What are you thinking, and what have you done with the previous gyms as far as like price raises over the years? Like your rent, like you said, you've got an annual escalator in your rent. There's inflation, costs go up, all this other shit.
Yep. So essentially, every like 2 years we kind of like build in like, okay, what percentage are we going up? In our contracts, we have it in there where the price can increase, and we try to add value to the gym so it doesn't feel like we're nickel and diming our members. We like want to make sure that they like are not feeling like, because $2 or $5 isn't big, but when you see that, you're like, what the fuck? Why? Why? So it's like the little things that can piss people off weird. So I don't want to like ever like feel like, we're just trying to just keep taking from them. So, it is inflation. Our rent goes up every year. Yeah. Every year it's going up. So, I don't think I have it correctly. I think there's a room of improvement. So, right now, I don't know. I think it'll be in 2 years. Maybe a year where we go up. Like I try to do it every 2 years, but it'd probably be smarter to go every year. To
it's
be
like at 100. Let's say it's $100 a month.
Yeah.
So the way I generally do, I'm like I put into every gym's contract. Every year it's just gonna go up by 3%. I learned this from a gym in San Francisco. One of the owners was a lawyer. She's like, every year in our contract, it just on the anniversary of contract, it'll go up by 3%. So at $100, it went up by $3. People in here would light $3 on fire and never give 2 fucks. But as business owners, we sit there like, fuck, if I raise 3%, yet alone, you're paying the fucking merchant processor at ABC fucking 3% to swipe it for nothing, for no reason whatsoever.
Swipe that card.
I mean, even at the lease, just tell people, hey, you want to use a credit card to get your miles and points? I got you. You're going to pay 3% if you want to do it. Or give me your ACH information, because ACH transactions are going to be a point, if that, Yep. It's fucking crazy. But as gym owners, we're like, fuck, I can't do that to people. It's fucking crazy though.
It stresses me out, man. And that's something like I need to get better at, because honestly, like I lose sleep over that. The first time I did that, I sent an email to everyone.
I'm sorry.
I literally sent an email and I was like, guys, this is what's happening. Like, and I was like a whole
Justify, it's a paragraph, like you're breaking up with someone.
I was like, people are gonna cancel. I was like, dude, what if this is the worst move I possibly make?
Yeah.
And it was fine.
Yeah, no one give a fuck.
And so, I'm still trying to get better at that, because, I like giving so much value where you're like, of course I would pay, like that's the mindset I always try to, do at the gyms for sure.
Yeah. The apparel you put out, it's great. you buy high quality shit. The wholesale cost, even of high quality shit, is expensive.
Yeah.
You can't sell it for a cheap rate, right? You got to sell it at high grade because it also makes it status based, right? It's like, that's the thing, is like a gym like this, you got to keep it at a price point where people go, oh, you go there, you know, because if it's not meant for everybody, it can't be price point for fucking everybody too.
Exactly.
It's a tug of war as a gym owner, dude. It's fucking tough.
Well, that was my biggest thing here is like, you know, I was talking to my parents and just people and they're like, what's the price? And you know, it was everywhere. I was thinking 89 to 160. It was in that range literally of like, okay, what makes sense? Where is it priced at where it's not outpricing the people that I want, you know, to actually be there? Because people would pay 160, but then it's like, you know, where is that like too pricey? And price is relative. You know, $1,200 for an iPhone. 5 years ago, you'd be like, what the fuck? But now, you know, everyone has an iPhone. That's nothing. This price is what you put value into. You know, $160.
$1,200 at the bar on a Saturday.
That's what I'm saying. Like $160. If you take your girl out to eat once, easy,
done.
Easy. So it's like out of the whole month, you just stay in one night and you're paying for the gym membership. Do people rationalize it like that? Not necessarily, you know. So it's weird, but that was a big struggle, and I was like, I want it where it's priced, where it's like it is expensive, you know, and so we don't have all the riffraff and we don't have all, like, you know, just packed full of just fucking people, but it is priced where it's like people can justify the price, and they're like, all right, you know, maybe I don't make a ton of money, but I will, you know, allocate this to actually work out
100%.
there.
What do you predict the membership cap on this facility would be?
So it's so hard, you know, and I tell people this all the time, if I keep signing people up and they only come at 5 p.m., my cap's going to be really, you know, small. You know, the idea is to try to get people in, you know, throughout the whole day. It's like, you know, that off time of after lunch to, you know, before 4:30, and then the after 7:30, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Those are like the ideal markets. I think, you know, I would love to have 1,500 to 2,000 members. I think 2,000 members would be our true cap. Like, honestly, that's the goal I want to have in the next, you know, year and a half.
What do you have at Greenville?
Greenville. So Greenville right now we have 900, 950 in Greenville. Seneca we have 1,500. Yep. Greenville's a lot smaller, 8,500 square feet total space. Seneca is around this size, about 10,000. But, you know, Seneca, we have a lot of people that, you know, sign up that don't.
That was my next question, is like, what is the average utilization you see in the open gym model? Like in a group class model, it's like, I can fit 25 people in class. It's like, you know, group class businesses are more like airlines or events. I only have so many seats to sell, right? Whereas in here, again, it's this kind of unknown, you can ballpark it, but it's kind of unknown, right? And the nice thing about an open gym model, people are resilient. Too many people, if someone comes in here and it's like, man, it's so packed at 5, they don't cancel. They just get their ass here at a different time. So it's kind of nice. Like the bottlenecks solve themselves. And you're like, oh man, 4 p.m. is getting a little bit busier. It's because those motherfuckers could come at 4 p.m. They were coming at 5 because the hot chick's here then. But it's too busy. He can't get in the squat rack, so he's going to come at 4. And that's just the natural, like all the sand funneling through that just finds its own little spot. But when you think of the utilization here, like, what's the average times per week you think someone's coming in?
So it's funny. It's the opposite of Planet Fitness. You know, Planet Fitness model is 90% of our members never show up, and it's too cheap for them to even worry about it. The equipment never gets
show up to get pizza on Friday and that's it.
Exactly. Here, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's more on that 75% of our members are active, especially when that higher price point, you know, you're spending that, you're coming here. We're not a beginner's gym. You know, we have people that are new, but we're not typically your beginner's gym. We're intermediate, advanced people. People are trying to, you know, compete, or you want to be seen. You know, this is your social club. You come here. You don't want to be. It's almost like you miss out if you don't come here. It's that FOMO effect where it's like, well, I just got new, you know, Gymshark shit. I want to show that off. I can't wear this at the bar. I want to wear that shit in the gym. I want to see that hot chick because I know she's going to be there. So people come here a lot and they spend a lot of time here too. So I think it's more trending on that 80% of our members are active. Like, and it probably is even higher than that, to be honest with you. And, you know, to go back with it being full, I compare it to like a bar. You have to find that like perfect medium, because like if a bar, if you walk in and it's empty, you're like, all right guys, get the fuck out of here. But if you walk in and it's nut to butt and you're like, I can't even get to the bar, I'm out too.
Correct.
When you go in there and it's like packed, but it's just a vibe, you're like, oh, this place is it. This is the spot. Same with the gym. It's like you have to have it. Some people like an empty gym. But
fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't have an empty
We
gym.
can't pay the rent on that.
Exactly. So it's like, all right, where's it? Where's the energy's high? You know, like a class, you can create good energy with 10 people in a class and just have that vibe. And that's what I wanted to create here is that the energy's always there, but having that happy, like not packed, not too packed, but
Sure.
it's packed enough where people are out and you're just, you know, in between, you're talking to people and it's just that vibe. So.
And the nice thing is in the gym, as soon as it gets packed and you're like, okay, I'm going to sit on this for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, it's fucking packed. Raise prices by 20%, just bleeds it out. You'll make more money with less people.
Yep.
And then just wait another year, 2 years, let it fill back up and bleed it again. Add it, increase that price. And that's the regulator. Whenever the fucking bottle gets too filled, just poke a little hole in it with a price raise. Some people go up, most stay, and you make more money. Talk to me about the business on this. Why is Seneca the only 24/7? Why did you not continue with 24/7?
So there's way more cons in my aspect than pros. The pro that I do love is it's not manned 24/7. So say my opener doesn't show up, the gym's running. You know, like
it's staffless essentially.
It's staff, like it essentially runs itself.
What system are you using for in and out?
So we have kind of a proprietary system. It's Gym Insight, but then we have, it's a company that's in Seneca that, I'm blanking on it.
Essentially just like door access.
It's a door access. It's a key fob, but yeah. So and it has it's door locked with magnetic. So you have to you scan to get in, scan to get out. But so many cons of like people tailgating at night when we're not staffed. You know, we have cameras that are always going, but the gym just looks like shit. You know, luckily we've had like major issues, but you know when it's not staffed, people are just throwing weights around. They're not fucking re-racking shit. You know, we have to make sure the music's always playing. Sometimes Spotify just fucks up in the middle of the night. So, you know, say that happens at 11 o'clock at night and until, you know, 7 a.m., there's zero music. And at my gyms, that's a fucking big deal. And then, you know, when they come in, it's like, you know, for the 7 hours, 8 hours, there's been no music. Or like, say someone uses a ton of toilet paper for no reason, just like, you know, and then there's all those things when you walk in, you're like, oh, fuck. And you're just like scrambling to like make the gym look proper again or get it back. And like I said, and people like, they know.
You have like a man, someone who pops in there twice a day, 3 times a day that just oversees Senate, just pop in, make sure shit's not, you know, whatever, and then bounces out? Or?
It's staffed from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Got
it's
it.
Staffed. But then we have managers that will stay later or come earlier. And we have managers throughout the day. But yeah, staff from 8 to 8 throughout every single day, but then the gym's always open if you're a member. But yeah, said those off times, like people will know, like, oh, at 9 o'clock they're out, so me and all the homies can come in.
Sure.
And then it's like, all right, we got to check the cameras, and then doing all this, and then we never get a chance to really clean the whole gym. You know, we can do it, but when I do artwork and stuff, and it's really hard, I have to do it at 3 a.m. That's like our slowest time. I'm up there on a ladder, I'm opening the doors, and there'll be 2 guys, and I'm like, guys, I'm about to spray paint y'all cool, and they're like, oh yeah, we don't care. You know, I'm spray painting and doing shit. And this is, I'm a super creative, and like when I do art and I sometimes I just sit in the gym and I just sit there for an hour and just like be in my own head and it's like, all right, how do I want to like redesign this? How do I want this to be? And when people are watching me, sometimes it just doesn't really work that way. And people were, you know, I used to do art in the gym and it was kind of like a spectacle where I would do it like as the gym was open, and it was cool for people to actually see it happen. But then people were, what have you thought about this? Or what do you think about this? And it's like, would be drawn out. And I'm like, my time's better in different aspects. So the only thing I like about 24/7 is if my people don't show up, it's good. It's there. It's always there. You know, here, I'll wake up at 4:30 in the morning just to check the cameras. All right, we're
freaking
there.
Out. Yeah.
We're there. We're good. I used to open up my Greenville gym for the first 6 months because I couldn't find anyone reliable, and I'm checking the cameras. Here it's a little,
nothing worse than being a gym owner and someone no shows to open the gym up.
That's because
I'm standing outside.
I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. just because. You know what I'm saying? I'm a late night person, so I'm usually here at 3 a.m. and so I'm just now getting to bed sometimes at 4 a.m. And that's happened before, where it's like someone doesn't show up and I'm wake up to 5 calls and being like, yo, we're outside, what the fuck? And I give my employees one mess up and that
one mulligan,
that's it. I was like, that's all you get. I was like, I get it. People mess up, but if we consistently don't open when we're supposed to be, that's when people cancel.
Sure.
If someone plans their day around 5 a.m., I get that to be fucking pissed. If I pay X dollars and I expect the gym to be open and it's closed, I'm pissed. People get it. It happens once. If it happens once, okay. If it happens twice, that's a routine, and then I can't rely on you to be open. Then it's bad. So
this is one of the things I was looking forward to getting your insight on the most. so many of like the concept validation calls now, we look at like the gym and it's like, okay, after you get done with rent, which generally your highest line item on your operating expenses, next it's generally staff. Yeah. And nobody went to career day and was like, I can't wait to be a front desk girl at a gym, right? So it's a gig you're constantly having to replenish on a regularly high relative cadence.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, technology fucking is so incredible that how are we still having people do these mundane fucking tasks like, again. And so we just had a concept that's like, okay, we're not doing 24/7 for the same reason. Plus, you're not making any money between fucking 10 p.m. and 3, 4, 5 a.m. anyway. No one's fucking coming. Like, it's shift work, like nurses and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So fuck that. Don't go to 24/7. But like coming up with the key lock kind of thing, scan. I got a guy now, he's got a company, and they're out California, like Palo Alto, but it's cameras and essentially motion tracking, but it can recognize when somebody has taken something, not put it back. And then it'll boom, snap it, send it to the email address, like the catch-all email, and then they're just issuing $30 per instance of equipment cleaning fees or equipment put away fees. And it's on there, and it literally sends you an email. This is your screenshot, kind of like if you run you do a speeding ticket now, you get a picture. You don't even know you got fucking busted running a speed, whatever. You get a fucking thing in the mail. It's like, hey, we have this. So just snap it, and it's like, all right, you've been hit with this $30, something that's expensive and it hurts. They're like, fuck. You have signs up that say, look, don't put shit away. You touch it, put it away. Wherever you pick it up, put it back. Because everyone's now trying to figure out, how do I get the cost of these gyms down? Because the commercial real estate is going up, the build outs are high, and to build in a margin, and again, like the margin on front desk staff isn't crazy expensive at the end of the day. But like finding staff can be sometimes.
Finding staff is
real hard.
Yeah, it's I'm interviewing 2 people tomorrow. It's finding that. And, a lot of times this is their secondary job, or like there's
side hustle.
Side hustle. So it's like there's usually a lifetime on people. What I try to do is we create a culture where it's like it's cool to be here.
Yeah.
You want to be staffed here because it's like I'm part of.
You see your friends when they're coming in. That kind of thing.
Yeah. You're like a part of like a group. Like like it's cool to work for Apple, or there's like whether you're up top or not. You're like, I work for Tesla. It's like that's dope. Like that's kind of cool. Like, so I try to bring that into my gyms is like, it's a badge of honor. Like, where you work here, you get perks at, like, you're skipping lines at clubs because we have a lot of the bouncers work here. These people, so you're connected because you work here. It elevates your status by being a front desk person. But I don't treat my people like that. Like it's part of a family, and I don't want people to think, oh, I'm just like a front desk person because I'm working the front desk with you. Or I want to create that, like, where it's the cool place, and there's no ceiling. Like, my manager for Greenville, she started front desk, and now she's oversight of pretty much 2 gyms, and she wants to be all 3 of these, and and it's awesome. So it's like, I tell all my front desk staff, I'm like, look, if you want to be front desk, awesome, I will keep you there. But if you want to take over my marketing, or if you want to, like, really, we'll start building that up. And like, I would love for you to do that. And like, cause I'm not stopping opening gyms. So you're kind of still on the floor level of this business. So you can be, 4th person in line if you like are truly like a part of it. And so it gives people kind of like, all right, yeah, maybe I do. Like, I'm a bartender right now. I don't see myself being a full-time bartender forever, or I'm working something that, like, I'm a nurse and I like it, but maybe I don't want to do that forever. And if I like this gym, maybe I could do this, forever. And I could be, the 7th person in line of a multi-million-dollar, thing that's making good money. So, I've looked at automating staff.
Yeah.
You look at it. But then I try to, like, I replicate hospitality. I look at hospitality and like,
and
it's like, you need those people. And it's like a person seeing you, saying what's up to you. It changes the dynamic from like no one being there and just walking around and having that personal interaction. COVID showed that we need that personal interaction. And it's like, maybe my bottom line isn't as lean because I have staff, but we're going to retain more people and get more people because we have good staff and someone you'd like to see. And, someone that can plug you in the city of like, oh yeah, I know that they're involved in the city. So you move here. Let me give you 5 restaurant recommendations. Let me tell you the nightclub you should go to. Let me introduce you to this guy because he's also into fishing or racing. Y'all should meet. It's like they're kind of that network hub and bringing people together too. So
because that's the key is everyone expects to come in and have a clean gym, good equipment, whatever. You got to go. That's what they expect. If you just do what people expect, like if American Airlines like our planes don't fall out of the sky, you'd be like, yeah, they fucking better now, right? I expect that shit. I expect the gym to be clean. I expect the bathrooms to be clean. I expect you have nice equipment. you're a gym. That's but it's going above and beyond that. The hospitality thing is huge. I used to go, like, anytime I travel, I would go and I'd go to the nicest hotel, even if like I didn't want to spend the money on it. Like, you go to Ritz-Carlton, you know the 5-15 rule? So to the Ritz-Carlton, if you work at the Ritz and I'm a guest and I'm within 15 feet of you, you have to acknowledge me and say, hey sir, how's it going today? Anything I can help you with? 15 feet.
No shit.
If I get within 5 feet of you, you have to walk over and like actually greet me and ask me how my stay's going. If you ask someone at the Ritz-Carlton, where's the pool? They can't say, oh, it's up to the elevators around the corner, it's on the 4th. They have to take you there. And like, I took that, I was like, holy shit. And like, so my gym, it was group fitness. I mean, we went and I went invested in towels, fridge, aloe scented. At the end of every workout, someone walked around with a platter and handed you an aloe scented eucalyptus cold towel that you got to put on your face. And the first time that happened, they're like, what are you doing? What is this? I'm like, it's for you. It's the end of the workout. Yeah. That's the talk trigger that they'd fucking talk about. You hit the senses, and because nobody else was doing that thing. When someone canceled, where are you moving? Chicago. Listen, we don't have one in Chicago, but you give me the zip code and my relocation concierge is gonna go ahead and she's gonna find the best coffee shop, the best nightclub, the best restaurants, and a few gyms that are in your area. Yeah. And I hope that you love your new city in Chicago. If you ever happen to come back, we open something up, we'll hit you up. Yeah. It's just that little fucking extra of doing it. Because just think what every gym's currently doing when they cancel. What every gym's doing when they walk in the door, you gotta do one fucking, so you gotta outwork and do more than what everyone else is doing. Because this all works in the beginning. Flashy, sexy, awesome. But you're right, it's that hospitality I think that the fitness industry is missing wildly.
It is, and I think it is because a lot of times, like you said with the Fitness Factory, is because no one's pushing them.
No one
gives
a fuck.
You know, and they're like, all right, I can kind of, get around with not doing it. And, you expect that when you go to a Ritz or like a 5, a Michelin 3-star or whatever, you're like, all right, expect that. But when you go to like a gym, you're like, nah, whatever. So that level of expectation for the business owner is not really there. Yeah. So I view that as like an opportunity to, to actually, create something. And I'm not doing an amazing job at it yet, but I want to, that's like always in the forefront of like, okay, how can we like really blow people's mind when they're like, wait, what?
What the fuck? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like why? What? That's incredible.
Yeah.
I categorize entrepreneurs in generally 2 categories. They're generally math-based, like their head just is kind of like your dad. Your dad likes numbers, he's structured things. And then there's the art or the abstract, which is clearly, I think, where you definitely fit in. How much is all the art in here you?
Yeah, yes, I do all the art in here. Yeah.
And so I didn't realize that at first, and then it might have been my 4th or 5th time in, and I started seeing your fucking. I'm like,
I'll do it. They're not on everyone because they're not finished, but they're on a couple because I finished. Those are finished.
I'm like, get the fuck out of here! I didn't realize. I'm like, I don't know where he got all this shit. Were you always artistic, or was the gym the first time where you're like, fuck it, I need to make this place look cooler in Seneca? I'm gonna start seeing what I do.
Twofold. So I was really big into art in middle school. I won like 2 awards and stuff, and then. Art in school's not that cool.
Yeah, it's not that cool.
I always did sports, and I'm
this
like,
ain't getting me laid.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, one of these art things, but like I'm playing football now, like fuck art. So like I was into art, and then I just never did it again. Yeah. And then Greenville location, we were gonna paint. I was trying to paint all the walls white, and I got a contractor, and I think he said something like $25,000. I was like, to paint these white? They're already kind of tan, bro. Like, what do you mean? And I was like, fuck you, I'll do it myself. So started painting myself. There was a couple like spray paint cans left over. And I was like, it was just a late night. And I was like, I started messing around, doing some graffiti. A homie came in, he was like, yo, who the fuck did this graffiti? This is really cool. I was like, oh, I just did it. He was like, this is sick, bro. And I was like, you know what? It is. Like, let me start. And I started just playing with it and then started doing murals. And what I love about it is you get a piece of me in the gym. It's like something that like, it's just in my head. And it's like, all right, that's Kory. I get his aspect. And 2, it's like, you can't find that.
You can't buy it on Instagram. Yep.
Exactly. Like you can't find it. And like,
it's a one-on-one.
I started kind of playing with it. And then I went at the time, my girlfriend, we went to LA, and there was a huge line to stand in front of this pink wall. It's right on like, it's Rose or something. It's or Melrose, and it's just a pink line. There's a line of girls to stand in front of just to take a picture.
It's like the Wings in Nashville. Yeah.
So I was like, wait a second, let me start creating aspects where people will organically just take photos of it, you know, just to take photos of it, whether they're in it or not, and they'll take photos in it. And then that just started kind of triggering. I'm like, okay, if I do this myself, you know, one, if I paid someone to do that, it'd probably cost 10 grand, you know, and then I'd feel bad painting over it or getting rid of it. So if I'm a good enough artist where I can do it myself and it looks like shit, it's paint, I'll just fucking paint over it.
Yeah.
And it started doing that and it just kind of blossomed from there, so.
I mean, but these are way bigger than that. Like this gets to a whole different level.
These are 8x8, which this was a big project. You know, I built the canvases myself, wrapped them myself, primed them myself, because I was gonna buy the canvases already wrapped, but it's like, once you get to this size, it's like $1,500 a canvas, just for the canvas. And we had like 10 of them. I'm like, 20 G's just for blank canvases? I don't know. So I was able to like, you know, figure out, okay, if I buy the wood and I buy just a huge thing of raw canvas, I can stretch it myself.
You stretched it on it yourself?
Yeah, built everything. Like literally went to Home Depot, built the canvases, stretched them, primed it. And I did it it came out to being about $110 per canvas. Bro. And then MJ was like, bro, we should start selling.
I was about to say,
He was like, just sell the raw canvases. Like if they're over $1,000, and then it's
DIY generally looks like dog shit. Yeah. DIY generally, like, that's dope, dude.
If you really start nitpicking, you can tell they're not perfectly straight. You know, they bow out a little bit.
But it's like I've been in meetings where people like talk about a billboard and how it has to be. I'm like, driving 60 miles an hour, motherfucker. No one's getting that close to the fucking thing. It just has to look good enough.
Yeah. And that's my thing. Is like I try to tiptoe the line of like, I never want it to look DIY.
Yeah.
I want people to know I did it myself, but it looks professional. So it's like, where do my talent meet that expectation of like, okay, is it DIY enough where it's like, or is it like, okay, this is sick. So it's like, you know, I try to tiptoe that line.
Yeah, and especially, it's not like you're saving $100. Like when the savings are in the 5 and 6 figures on stuff, similar to, you know, painting the fucking ceiling and saving 50 grand. That's legit, especially when you don't have, you know, you don't have private equity backing this thing kind of thing, and you're generally doing what I would traditionally say. You got 2 locations making money, and you're yanking cash out of them to fund this next one, right? Yeah. Or did you do everything? Is everything here separate?
Pretty much separate, honestly.
Okay.
Like we kind of made that mistake with Greenville. We were pulling all the cash from Seneca.
Yeah.
And then just trying to
robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and we're like, all right, let's not do that.
Yes.
You know. So payroll, everything's good. We don't have to think about it.
It allows it to fail on its own. Like if it fucks up, you're able to judge it on its own versus Big Brother taking care of it and paying the rent.
Exactly. We're like, all right, let's take enough capital ourselves so that we're not doing that, because we did that at Greenville and it was like, you know, a little sketchy at first. And like, all right, where's all this money going? And it was just hard to like kind of keep track of everything. And so we didn't want to do that here.
So talk to me about the plan. These are all corporately owned stores. These are all owned under the Core24 company. Do you plan to continue to corporately own them? Do you plan to franchise or license at some point?
So, you know, moving forward, the big strategy I think is franchising. You know, it's kind of the Chick-fil-A model where it's like really hard to own one of these, but when you do, it's successful. And the person that, you know, is franchising, they're invested. They're like a me, you know, they're fucking hands on it, and we're giving them the fundamentals of how to make it look good, and they're just there and making it. And that's when I want to be a national brand. Like that's the goal. Is like, I want, when any city you go to, you're like, well, where's Core24? First, we're up there with the Equinox is better than them. You know, Gold's is kind of out of the picture now, but like used to be Gold's. I want to be the better version of what Gold's used to be. And in every major city we're in, and the way to do that without me being 6 years old and opening up, you know, 1 or 2 a year is, you know, is going to have to be franchising. I want the next one, hopefully next year, is going to be corporate owned. After that, we're probably going to look franchise. Maybe when we hit 5, you know, I originally said 5. I was like, once we hit 5, then we'll look at franchising. So, you know, I think that we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't want it to be a McDonald's franchise. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, so it's like, I want it, like Chick-fil-A, I love that example because they're amazing. You know, you go to pretty much any Chick-fil-A, they're fast, you know, they're good. McDonald's, it's all over the place, man. You can go to one that's, you don't get your food forever, and they don't give a shit about, working there. Chick-fil-A, they all love working there. That energy, and there's a proper way to do it. And so I just want to make sure if we do it, it's proper. And it's like where it feels like Core24,
I never went the franchise route. We went the license route for a minute before getting out of the gym game. Good colleague of mine, Brandon Cullen, he owns Metabolic, the co-founder of Metabolic, and that franchise. And a quote I heard him say is, when you franchise, you got to accept you're generally going to rinse, repeat. And if you can keep 90% of what you created, that's a win. Because the second you hand it off to that other person, even though here's the playbook, it still's never, and if you can accept 90%, go with it, because that's probably the best, because it's going to be ran like you want it to run, but there's just that fucking element that just that's not quite there yet. And it's, it'll take years to sit down and create the FTD docs of just like the systems and all that. Because again, you're an entrepreneur, like you're building the airplane while you're flying it. It's not like there's not a fully done, vested fucking Core24 handbook probably sitting behind that front desk. You guys are still figuring things out. Yeah. Each location's got a different footprint. It's got kind of a different thing, different price points, different demographic.
Yeah.
Like, and eventually be like, okay, we had her two, we had whatever. I think we're going to replicate the Charlotte one. This is the one, the footprint. This is like how we want to try to recreate this. You go to franchise accelerators and they're going to be like, cool, I need to see how many you got, Blake. Well, those first two don't count. They look nothing like this one. This is the one you're going to do? Cool, that means you only have one. Right? So you got to go ahead and you got to hit somebody. Oh, and you're just regional in North and South Carolina? Bro, get, like you said, where you were thinking about Miami maybe. Get to it, go and show up in a big boy market and fucking, and can you butt heads with it? Because that franchise game, I mean, I don't know if you follow in the industry, like what Exponential's going through. Exponential, the largest boutique fitness holder of
they own Rumble too, right?
Rumble, all of it, yeah.
Rumble's, their franchise.
They're all fucked, but I mean, the fucking shit show. F45 as a franchise and all of Exponential's 10 brands, they're all under fire because deceitful practice is selling people a dream and telling them it's gonna make this much money when it don't make that much money.
Yeah.
And it's tough, man. The franchise thing is tough, but the one thing no one's doing is a boutique open gym dope version. When you think about this thing growing up, do you think of it on a bigger square footage platform, or do you think about keeping it in tighter 12,000-ish type boxes?
I want to keep it tight.
Yeah.
Because once you start going bigger, you go to the alpha land where it's like, oh, we're going to do this, and then we're going to add this, and then we're going to add this. And then you lose that, like, just that intimacy and that cool factor.
Sure.
And like, you just lose a lot. And like, then you're playing with different markets and you're playing against the Lifetimes and all that shit. And it's like, no, like no one's doing, or not too many people are doing that like 10,000, 12,000 square foot. And that's like kind of where our market is. And I want to keep it there. It makes it creative, and we can figure out like how many people we can get in here, but we don't try to do a basketball court. We don't try to do a swimming pool. We don't try to do all this shit, because once you start getting bigger, you're like, all right, well, I got this much. I might as well put a boxing ring in here. I might as well put a barbershop in here, all this shit. And it's like, nah, we don't want to do that. I don't want to pay for all that shit. And that's not who we are. And I want to keep, that was like, this was the goal. It was like, okay, what is the perfect square footage? How does that look? We landed on 11,000. I think that's very close to like the perfect square footage, is like where it's enough equipment where you can have pretty much every workout you can think of, and also have 1,500 people where it's comfortably happy, making good money, and then we're moving on to the next one. So, that's what I'm hoping for is the idea.
Well, especially if you want to franchise it, because if you did an Alpha Land 30,000 square feet, you can have one per fucking metropolitan area. With this, let's say there's 1 million people in Charlotte, and gym membership penetration nationwide is 15%. That's 150,000 people. And this is going to have maybe 1,200 members in it. That means you could have a South End location. You could do a NODA location. You could have, Charlotte could probably support 3 of these with the population we have here, and with over, over 150,000 people having a gym membership or doing something. Yeah. And again, it just, people, there's gonna be plenty of open gym models. You're not wrong about that. It's gonna be hard to recreate the authenticity of this. Did you ever see people who aren't cool try to act cool? Fuck, you're on reality TV, never mind. What am I talking about? Of course you fucking know.
That's pretty much me.
It's the worst fucking thing ever. But like, this is so authentic. Like, you didn't, again, if you would have bought this, it would look so fucking fake. If it would have been like wall pop art, like it's so authentic. It looks real. It's like, That did not come out of a fucking playbook.
Yeah.
Right? Like just your brain. Now it can be. The next location can also have a fucking awesome Arnold or a Columbo, whatever.
And that's what worries me about the franchise model.
Sure.
The 10% you said, the 90%, that 10% is what makes it cool or not. And that's what I'm worried about, that I could lose doing that. And that's what scares me, honestly. That's probably my biggest worry is like, how am I growing this and still keeping that cool factor? Because that's what's intangible.
The great thing about a corporately owned that you scale, while you won't be selling a B2B, you won't be selling to people who are going to pay you money to run your business now. If you really like what you said about the front desk and stuff, you want to create opportunities corporately. Because again, even if you had a GM position here, what the fuck can you be able to pay a GM? Like realistically, you cannot be able to buy a house and have kids and get a nice house in Charlotte, but you can then grow your corporate locations. You maintain 20% ownership, whatever. They take 80% ownership and they could open the Nashville location, right? And like you can grow a corporate brand like that all from in-house. It will grow slower. But I think with the style of this, you can be nationwide and still have 8 locations, kind of thing, but they're fucking 8, 10 rock star fucking locations versus, you can franchise and get triple digits and fucking 60% will be good. 20% will be incredible. 20% will be dog shit that you'll be embarrassed by, but you are contractually obligated to let them keep running their shit. Yeah. It's a tough gig, but
and that's what's happening like Rumble, for instance. Like,
that Rumble location is a fucking embarrassment.
Yeah, and
it's ridiculous.
I went to the OG ones in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was like killing. I was like, damn, this is sick.
Yeah.
And they're blowing up. And then this one, I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh, this is a franchise. The corporate ones are doing well, but the friend, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah, you fucking sell a license to a stay-at-home mom whose dad is a pediatric surgeon at fucking, Atria, makes $750,000, and he gives this to his wife to give her a fucking day job. And of course, you wonder why it sucks. It's like her heart's not into it. She just really liked the workout. And she needs something to do.
Yeah.
Needs something to fucking do.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to, what other markets do you look at? We talked about, so you like Miami.
I love Miami. It scares me, and I think that's why I like it.
Yeah.
It scares the shit out of me.
It's big boy time.
It is.
It's big boy time.
And there's a lot of competition there, but Miami's the place for athletes, influencers, rock stars. Like they're in Miami right now. Like I said, what we were talking about earlier, since COVID, all the LA people moved to Miami. A lot of the New York people moved to Miami. It's the cool spot. F1's there. It's the fucking spot. And I want to be where those people are because I'm confident enough that I can get them in my gym and like actively working out in my gym. And, you start getting some big time celebrities that really are like, I fucking love this gym. Then like I said, then the organic reach is crazy. You have Rick Ross, he's getting back in shape. You have him just fucking at your gym. And all those people and then it can kind of trickle down. But what I was saying, I want to be in the spots that people are moving to after the young professionals, where they move into Tampa, Miami, Nashville, Austin, the emerging markets that, aren't popped yet, but they're on the way. Miami's a little different story, The
problem in Miami is everything looks cool in Miami. So even though you're a 10 out of 10 cool in Charlotte, but Charlotte ain't cool.
Yeah.
So like, for you to make, you'd be better in the tier 2 markets, the Nashvilles, the Austins that are like on the come up. Cool's not really there. I mean, I don't have the long bit. There was 4 fucking clubs to go to when I got here, right? They've all shut down at the Epicenter. People go to Oak, they go to the Versus or whatever the thing is over there across from Fairwood, 255 or whatever. There's 4 places to fucking go. Charlotte's not cool, but something like this shows up and it raises that fucking bar exponentially. Miami, the hardest thing is that they're all desensitized to cool. Yeah. Where here, people fucking walk in and get wood from this place because we haven't seen cool in Charlotte.
Yeah. Everyone's like, I show this. Everyone's like, is this in
cool.
Miami?
Yeah,
they're like, this must be in Miami, shit like that. So,
but I like those markets for you. It's just like, it's one of those things. It's like, fuck. It's like my factor is that I wow people with the coolness. Greenville ain't cool. No. Now, I love Greenville I like getting away from Charlotte and going there. It's a cool city.
Yeah.
But you've capitalized on bringing cool in the markets that don't have cool.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that would be my fucking go-to-market strategy. It's like, what areas are growing, but they don't have cool yet? How can I be the ambassador, show the fucking world what cool is in that market?
And that's my main, Miami's just been on my mind.
I know, I get it. I get it.
I kind of want to live there too, and it's just been on my mind. But, like I said, the Nashvilles, the Austins, those places where I'm seriously looking at.
Cincinnati, Ohio is a killer. There's some really good markets that are growing at a fucking clip, insane clip. and their prices are still relatively cheap compared to, you go to Miami, you're talking 65 base plus 22 triple net. Like, you're just like, get the fuck out of here. It's nuts. All right, and then here's the last one I got for you, and I appreciate your phone. I don't even know how long we've been jamming for.
No, it's fine, bro. I said, this is my working time, bro. I'm here.
I didn't want to get into the Bravo stuff. I was doing my research on you, and I'm like, he gets asked about fucking Winter House and all that stuff a ton. Is that tough as an entrepreneur? Like, I mean, because that obviously, that pulled you away for a minute, right? Like, when you think of where your life can go, reality TV and Bravo and this, if you got the pick, like, to go one way, and I'm not trying to get you in trouble, Bravo here or nothing, but like, where would you, like, what would you pick if you had to draw a line in the sand and go one direction? It'd be this.
Bury me here, baby.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like, this is what I live for. I mean, this is it. With the reality show stuff, I don't think I'm that good at it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it is what it is. I think I'm good at a couple things. Talking shit's one of them. Building gyms is another. You know, like those I'm really good at those. And like, I'm confident that I can like create an experience in a gym that a lot of people can't. I think that's one of my talents in life. I think I found it. I might not be the best at like operating the business, but creating it, and then I can hire people that help me operate it. I'm really good at just creating that vibe, that experience, that cool factor.
Yeah.
It's just in me. So the reality stuff is fun. I use it for organic
It's a
reach.
megaphone?
It is. It literally is. I've been offered it for years and years, and I didn't want to do it because I didn't want it to distract me from what I was doing. You know, I didn't want it to be like, oh, you're a reality star, and then he did gym. It's like, no, I wanted to be the gym, and then I just my side gig is a funny reality TV show, and bring light to me. And then whether you think I'm a fuckboy, douchebag, whatever, you're like, oh, I want to go make fun of his gym, and you show up and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, like, I want to hate on it, but all right, this is kind of dope. Yeah. So, you know, 100%, it's fun, but I could get X tomorrow, whatever. This is it, you know, because try to take this from me. You know, you have to pull from my, you know, cold dead fingers. The reality shit, that's why I became an entrepreneur, so that I have control. I kind of create my own destiny. With the TV stuff is like, they can just be like, sorry, we don't really like you anymore. And be like, what? I did everything perfect. What do you mean? I'm like, nah, we're just not really feeling you anymore. See you later. And then I'm like, what? Then my whole world of like, that is done. And I've seen it happen all the time. Seen it left and right. We're just like, well, we're kind of done with
That's my identity. I'm that person on that show to that audience.
Yeah, and then when it's done, it's like, well, what the fuck do I do now? You know, it's like, this is like, I want this to be my legacy. The reality shit, you know, fun, cool. And like I was telling you earlier, it'd be funny to show my grandkids, be like, your dad was cool back in the day. Your grandpa was cool. Let me show you some funny shit. You know, and it's like, who can say they're on a show? It literally is just kind of for a fun thing. I want to be my legacy, where like, you know, the Nikes, the shit that like it lasts through my grandkids, and they're like, oh wow, your grandpa was that, you know, like that's really where I want it to, and that I truly in my heart think I can change the fitness industry through it. I think I have what it takes, and like I want to compete. Like, you know, it's like I had that desire where I'm like, we can do it, something cool here, and it's something unique, and you know, I'm excited for it.
Dude, I'm fucking pumped. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you taking the time and cutting time out from your day. If anyone wants to learn more about, there's so much we didn't cover, but where do they find things out about Kory Keefer and Core24?
Yeah, so Core24 Gym, that's our Instagram, that's our TikTok, our websites. I'm going to create an entire website, which is Core24 Gym, but we have 3 websites. Core24 CLT, Core24 GVL, and Core24 Gym. I'm in the works of just making one. I've made some mistakes on that. For my personal, it's Kory Keefer, Kory Keefer. Not too hard to find, but yeah.
Dope, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, man. I could talk about this for hours, as you can tell.
This is dope. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.